Well, hey, everybody. Happy Saturday. Getting ready to record Mike in the Midwest for this week. Let's do it. Why do I not see a record button? There it is. Here we go. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to episode number 276 of Mike in the Midwest, our mini podcast for the amazing patrons just like you of the Be Our Guest podcast. My name is Mike Rallman, host of the Be Our Guest podcast, which you can find at beourguestpodcast.com or anywhere that you download podcasts. But again, as I've been saying for, almost over 5 years at this point since the pandemic, I can't believe it's been almost 5-6 years now. You know that. And we're here to get together, our weekly meeting of our core group of friends here. You guys support the podcast, and I appreciate you so much. Just getting back together as we do here over the weekends, just to say thank you for supporting the show. Hope you had a very Merry Christmas with your friends and family, and that Santa dropped in, came down the chimney, came through the back door. If you don't have a chimney, I don't know how he did. We never had a chimney at our house growing up. I've actually, yes, we did. You know what? Actually, we had a fireplace when I was in my house. Here we go. This is just Mike in the Midwest at this point. I just side stories constantly for 30 minutes and then we close the show and then we do it again the next week. When I was a little kid, we had a small starter house right over in Florissant. Tiny starter house, no fireplace at all. So my parents always told me that Santa just came in the back door in our neighborhood because there were no houses that had fireplaces at all where we lived. I mean, not a chance. So it was just Santa just came in everybody's back door. So I guess we left the back door unlocked. I don't know, because my room was at the very far end by the back door, and I was kind of a skittish kid. So I can't imagine that I would have been cool with that because everybody, like my sister's room and my parents' room, were down at the other end of the house. So I would have been like abducted by myself. So I don't even, now that I think about that, I don't know how I would have been cool with that. But we moved between sixth and seventh grade. We moved so I could play baseball basically for the high school, this really good high school called Hazelwood Central. And we moved between sixth and seventh grade, and that house did have a fireplace. We lived there. I lived there from seventh grade through college. And yeah, we had a fireplace there. So I guess Santa at that point could have, of course, I don't know how busy he was then, but he could have definitely slid down the fireplace at our house in Fox Lake, it was called. So I didn't think about that. But we don't have a fireplace here. We have a little stove in the basement, but that skinny little pipe, I don't think he's coming down that. That'd be tough. But however he made it into your house, I know Michelle, our friend down in South Florida, I doubt you have a fireplace. I don't know. How does Santa visit you guys? I just hope he was good to you, and you left out the milk and cookies. That's the important thing. We always had to leave out milk and cookies no matter what. If he comes in the back door, the chimney, whatever it is, you got to leave good stuff for him. A little note, milk and cookies, the whole thing. But I hope you got what you want. Even if it was, Dennis, I hope he left you, some Star Wars stuff. Trisha, some Legos, puzzles, whatever it is. Paul, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, your cat came back. That's good stuff. I was praying about that cat. I know you guys were worried about that thing. Everybody in the clubhouse was worried about how do we catch the cat. I've never had a cat. I'm not really a cat person. I'm a dog guy. And I just know cats have their own, I'm not a cat person because I don't think cats like people. And so I just wonder how you can catch a cat because when Riley doesn't want me to catch her, there's no way I'm catching her. She's too fast. She's too nimble. She can cut and I can't cut anymore. I can run in a straight line. That's the only thing I can do at this point in my life. I can run for 4 hours in a straight line, but I cannot cut. I will blow out ACLs, LCLs, MCLs, any kind of CLs. I can't cut at this point in my life, and she can cut still. Even she's an older dog at this point, but she can still outmaneuver me in the yard and stuff. But a cat, I mean, they can obviously outmaneuver any human. And if you're not going to want to catch a cat, you're never catching a cat. So I was like, oh my gosh, poor Paul. But the thing is, if a cat's smart, and cats are cagey, they're smart animals. Why would a cat not want to come back into the house? I'm sure Paul spoils that cat, right? So if you don't know the backstory, if you're not on the Discord, which I know a lot of you are, cat had a or cat. Paul had a loving cat that got out of his house, and he was super worried about it. We were talking about it in the clubhouse, and he was trying to get the cat to come back in his house. We are all giving suggestions of how to get this cat back, and couldn't get it. He was leaving food out and all kinds of, places for the cat to go to stay warm because it's getting cold out in New Jersey. But fortunately, the cat is back and living his best life, it looks like. So I feel good. Everybody in the clubhouse was like cheering virtually. It's all good. So we're happy for Paul. We're the cat's living the life, the life of luxury, which it's like my dog here, Riley, actually Paige's dog. I mean, if I could live that dog's life for a week, I mean, it would be like a human, for us, we're all Disney fans, right? It's like, it'd be like an all expensive trip to the Grand Floridian. That's what Riley lives every day. She takes like 7 naps, feed her really good food. She doesn't get the cheap stuff. She gets the expensive stuff from Target. I eat Taco Bell, which Taco Bell's not cheap, but I mean, it's not exactly, steak. I mean, I do it to myself, but I mean, I also do it because it's not expensive. I don't know. Where are we going with this? But we love our pets, and I love you guys, and I hope you're having a good. I hope Santa was good to you. If you had something up on your list, and I know here's the thing about my friends, and you guys are my friends. When I talk about my podcast people, and you're my podcast people, and I try to explain, you gotta understand when I go to like family events with extended family and other people, that somehow it comes up that I do a podcast, right? And I talk about that I have friends that listen to the podcast, and they probably think I have like 10 or 12 or, maybe 5 people listen to the podcast. I'm like, no, there's quite a few people listen to the podcast, but I have a core group. We have a message board. We have, I try to explain the Discord and stuff like that. And I'm like, they're really good friends. Like some of them I've met, at races. We run races together sometimes. Some of them I've met just at the parks because we're at the parks at the same time. Sometimes we've gone on cruises together, some of these people, but we're all friends and we're almost like an extended family because we get on this thing. We call it the Clubhouse. It's a Discord server. And like, what's that? I'm like, all it is it's like a message board. It's like our own little Facebook kind of thing. Okay. And they don't understand it, but I'm like, that's like a little extended family because we post pictures of our family. We post pictures of like what we're doing. We talk about our sports team. I know who everybody's college rooting interest is. I know who everybody's NFL rooting interest is. I know, where everybody lives. I know, if somebody's going through something, we know that we're cheering them on. It's like, I might not be in that corner of the world. I might not be in Chicago or New Jersey or New York City or Florida or wherever we're from, San Antonio, wherever it is. But it makes my world so much richer because I get to live with my friends virtually through this. And then, we do cross paths eventually when we're down at Walt Disney World at the same time, cruising, hopefully sometime together. And people, I don't know if people get it. That's the whole thing. When I, Christmas, I try to explain that to some of the extended family. They probably look at me like I have 3 heads, and I don't care because it is kind of unless you are involved in something like this, they probably don't understand, right? Because I come down into this basement, I close the door, I talk in isolation to this microphone, it goes out, you guys download the show, but that's just the start of it. That's a podcast is a very solitary thing, and it is kind of a one-way thing because I'm talking and you download the show, you listen to the show wherever you are, treadmill, walking the dog, doing the dishes, driving in your car, whatever. But I think the best part of the podcast is just going to the message board, going to the Discord server, or leaving feedback on the patreon.com/BRGuestPodcast. It's the two-way communication, it's the feedback, it's that conversation. And that's where I think, when I look back on 2025, And it's the time where everybody's looking back or reflecting, right? And looking forward to 2026. But as we wrap the year, you're kind of looking back. The clubhouse has really, really grown this year, thanks to Trisha and so many people, with the daily trivia. She's kept that up and we appreciate that so much. Billy put out a great thank you for that. And I echo that so much. Just so many people have just made the clubhouse grow into just I have that channel called the living room, but it's basically been, the whole thing's been a living room. It's just all these different channels of, got the memorabilia. People are posting, I got this cool pin that has like popcorn in it. I didn't even know those things existed. I saw that a couple days ago. I thought that's the coolest pin ever. It made me happy to see that a pin like that exists. I had no idea. That's so cool. And you got the sports. Of course, I'm into the sports channel. I don't always post, but I love reading about it because, I'm not an NFL guy, but I love reading about the people that are super into NFL. I'm a college dude. I love posting about that stuff. Then you got the My Corner of the World channel, which is like my favorite because I love learning about people's life, about what's going on. It's like being nosy. It's like our own little Facebook page. I love knowing what's happening with, like, is Dennis smoking some meat today? Like, is Dennis going to spend 15 hours on the smoker? And then when he posts it, am I going to wish I was eating that with Dennis? Because it's going to look so good. I've never had anything that good in my life. I need to go to Texas. I love that stuff. Like, it's just super interesting to me. I don't know. It's fun. But I'm so glad in this time of reflection as we wrap 2025 that we've got to spend this time together. And I appreciate y'all. I just want you to know that, because one of the things I'm going to really is you look forward to 2026 and you start to think about, what can I do better in the new year? I want to make sure that I tell people that they mean a lot to me. The people that, not in a fake way either, but you guys in the Discord and here on Patreon mean so much to me, because for somebody that made a transition in 2017, that made the transition from teaching full-time to working in isolation full-time, going to travel full-time, where I work from home. Who knew the pandemic was going to happen? But you couldn't go from more of a 180. And I'm a very social person. I love teaching. When I was in high school, here's a little Mike in the Midwest story. And this was me all through when I was a kid. When I was a kid in elementary school, middle school, high school, I was always the kid who got sent out in the hall because I wouldn't stop talking. Now, I always got good grades. I almost got straight A's all through school. I was in the gifted program, all that kind of stuff. But my report cards is a funny thing. My report cards would always be like AA, lots of A's, some B's. But it would be like, he's a good student, but he doesn't ever shut up. He wouldn't want to stop talking. And so my parents would be like, you need to stop talking. And I remember one of the things I totally remember in Spanish class, Dr. Stevenson, my Spanish teacher, because I took Spanish 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade. I took it for 5 years. So you'd think I'd be doing this podcast in Spanish, and I can't speak Spanish a lick. But I took it my junior and senior year because you got college credit for it. That's really the only reason I took it, because it was the only thing that was really offered for college credit. So I took it, and the kids who took it junior and senior year, since you had to take it all the years to take it, for college credit, we were basically the same kids, and we were the kids that were kind of in the honors classes together. So we were all pretty tight. So we were always talking. And so I always got booted out in the hall for talking to my buddy all the time. So Dr. Stevenson would just toss me all the time, just boom, out in the hall. And ended up that her granddaughter was on a soccer team with Paige later on down the line. And she saw me when I was coaching Paige's soccer team. And she was this really short, sweet lady. And she's like, Miguel? I said, oh, Dr. Stevenson, we meet again. And I said, can I, it was so funny. I said, can I stay on the sidelines? I'm coaching the soccer team. Are you going to kick me out? She's like, oh, Miguel, you could stay. But I thought she's going to toss me, because she used to toss me out of class all the time. But, we used to watch these movies called, no, it was a TV show. Oh man, what was it called? It was like a soap opera in Spanish, but she made us watch it. Que Pasa is what it was called. Que Pasa. And then we had to summarize it. And because I don't know, it was wild. But anyway, I see where we going with this. But I've always been a social person. And because the reason I love you guys so much is that working from home is a shock for me because in teaching, that was such a social job, right? I mean, I was always surrounded by when I taught regular gen ed before I went to gifted. I mean, I was in charge of 30 kids all the time, 30 like sixth graders. Now, sixth graders are nuts. They're like crazy kids because they're like 12 years old. They never shut up. They're just like all the time. And we were departmentalized. So we would switch classes and we had 4 groups of 30 and I taught science to all of them. So they were always switching. Pam's class was next door to me. So I was always messing with Pam's class all the time and like, always playing pranks on her class and doing stuff. So it was just super social. I was in charge of student council. I did the TV show every morning for our whole school. It was, I was social when I taught. And then when I taught gifted, it's kind of the same thing at that school, but just small classes. I had like 10, 12 kids. Um, and then all of a sudden I switched to being a travel agent and I'm home and I'm doing this with nobody home. Pam's teaching. No, she's not here. Girls are gone. I'm just in my house by myself all the time. And you guys have virtually become my friends, which I appreciate so much. So thank you for being there. Thank you for being my coworkers, my friends, my family. And I just want to, in 2026, I'm going to make sure I tell people I appreciate them so much more because you guys are rock stars. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for keeping the show going too, because we couldn't do this without your support. This is getting crazy expensive. And without your Patreon support, we would not be able to keep up. So thank you for keeping us on the air. All right. So last week we talked about it's not the people, or it is the people. It's not the place. It's the people. And just a little update. So we had Christmas. We did it at my sister-in-law's and it was great. It was awesome. It was a little worrisome there leading up to it because Pam's like me. We're super traditional. We don't want to give up our our traditions. I always grew up going to my grandparents' house on Christmas Eve. I told the story last week. The cousins got there. We anticipated that. We couldn't open presents till after dinner. The adults took forever to eat dinner and dessert and had to wash the dishes and all the presents were under the tree. We just like, could we open the presents now, please? And I just remember, but it was just looking back, like just you could smell the wood in the buck stove, and it was perfect. And it was the place. Like, if I could go back to 1020 Harrison, I'd love to. But it was the people. It was grandma and grandpa. It was my dad and my mom. They were still married. And my aunt and uncle. My aunt passed away years and years ago. My cousins were there. It was the people. And this was the first year that we did not celebrate Christmas Eve at Pam's parents' house out in the country, out in Moscow Mills. We decided it was too much. And so we moved Christmas Eve to her sister's house, Pam's younger sister's house, which is just down the road from us here, about 3 minutes away. And when they made this decision, the family made this decision while we were on the cruise on the Destiny. So when we got back and she found out, she was not super excited. Because she's super traditional like me. And so she cried a little. And when we told Mallory cried a lot because she likes going to Mama and Papa's. But I told him, I'm like, it's going to be okay. Because I had to make this transition when my grandpa passed. We still had Christmas Eve at my grandma and grandpa's, even though grandpa wasn't there. And then when grandma passed, obviously we sold the house and it ended, and it was sad. It was super sad because I'm more traditional than anybody. I'm more nostalgic than anybody, and it hurt, but you do go on and you keep the memories tucked in your heart. The memories will never go away. And I still will always have the memories of grandma and grandpa's Christmas Eve at their house. And even though they're not even around, I have the memories of them with me forever. And I told her, I was like, here's the deal. We're not going to have Christmas Eve at your parents' house this year, but we're going to have Christmas Eve with your parents. That's the treasure. It's not the place. It's the people. You have them still. It's going to be awesome. And she said, yeah, that's right. So we did have it. And I'll tell you what, her sister just nailed it. We had every same food that we always had, every exact same food that we always have at her parents'. We did it exactly the same. We got, we made all the dishes, all the same thing at the same time. The only thing that was different was just the location. And her house is a little bit bigger, so we had a little bit more space to open the gifts and eat the food. And, it was wonderful. And she did a great job hosting. She had us all there on Christmas Eve, and she had us all there on Christmas Day that afternoon. Did a wonderful job, and everybody seemed happy. And here's the thing, Pam's parents seemed pretty relaxed. They didn't seem stressed because they were hosting. They weren't worried about, like we had to get the garbage, like all the trash bags with the wrapping paper and the boxes and stuff taken out and all that stuff, because it wasn't their house. Like we all just grabbed them as they filled up. We took them out. And, I think that they got to relax and maybe enjoy Christmas a little bit more. And I think I said like one thing like this. I think I like whispered something or said something like, "This is really nice." And Pam was like, "Don't say anything because we don't want to, trigger her mom, to even bring up that, we're comparing anything." And I was like, "Yeah, I probably shouldn't." But it was like, I did go over like on the side and said something to her sister, like, "Thank you for doing this. You did an outstanding job." So just a little update. It was the people. The place was fine. It turned out great. We had an awesome, awesome Christmas. Different, but it was amazing. And I think her parents, they seemed happy. Pam seemed happy. Everybody was happy. It was a wonderful Christmas. I think it was the right call. So just a little update. It worked out fine. We were good. All right, let's get the feedback on last week's show. Trisha says, I'm not a super sentimental person, but I love Christmas. So it's the only time I really double down on traditions. As a kid, we bounced between various relatives, so never went to the same place year to year. With that said, the vibe was always the same: large gathering, loud, kids, antsy to open gifts. Your memories were basically mine. Now it's just 8 of us, but we have the same routine every year. My mother-in-law hosts. We eat Christmas lasagna. I'm the activities coordinator. Surprise, surprise for Trisha there. It's still fun, just in a different way. Both experiences, I'm surrounded by the people closest to me. That's how it should be. That is just as long as you're with the people you love and you're having fun doing activities and just, I love it. And Christmas lasagna, I love hearing what Mizzou, we had like, well, good. Oh my gosh. Now I'm getting hungry. Tonight's Mizzou's football game, by the way, MIZ. We're playing Virginia, and we're going to have all the good food again tonight. And we're going back over there, same place, over to Sandy's. My good friend Paul. Speaking of Paul, here he is. Mike, thanks for the great show that pulled at the heartstrings. First, I'm with Trisha. I just want to get to my destination when traveling. I do enjoy the journey. I just want to go efficiently, which is hard to do nowadays. Sorry, my wife is heading to Target and we have to get dog food for Riley, so I have to let them know that she is on the way. Mobile order. I'm so excited. You all have, you'll have all 5 under your roof this Christmas. Yes. Oh, I was trying to think 5. Okay, Riley, got it. Let's see here. Riley is pumped. Man, your memories of grandma and grandpa sound like the best Christmases. I'm drawn to my memories from my childhood home, which has been someone else's home for 11 years now. I try to be positive, but I get melancholy thinking of them and even thinking of my own empty nest now. I'm drawn to a quote from J.R.R. Tolkien. How do you pick up the threads of an old life? How do you go on when in your heart you being understand there is no going back? I feel for Mallory getting the news about Mama and Papa's not being where you gather this year. And aside, I called my grandparents from West Virginia, Mama and Papa too. See, we both have Appalachian roots. A discussion for another time. We adapt, I guess. And thanks for saying it's about the people, not the places. So true. Merry Christmas, everyone. Yeah, we do have some my my grandparents, like I said, right there at the corner of right there on the Ohio River at the corner of West Virginia, Kentucky, and Ohio, right there in Catlettsburg, Kentucky. So there you go. Yeah, but I would love to, what I would really love to do is go back to my house where I grew up before sixth grade on St. Daniel and see it. Because I mean, that was like the house where, like, when you're in elementary school, like you had so many adventures there, right? I'd like to see the backyard where, like, we played soccer there every night in the backyard, and with one floodlight, we rode our bikes around that block a bajillion times. But I would, of any of them, I'd like to go back to grandma and grandpa's house so much. But what are you gonna do? You can't do it anymore. Let's see here. Sorry, my wife is picking up the dog food, so I got to let him know that I am doing this. And I told her I was on the air. Even with the changes to how you celebrate. The last two episodes of Mike in the Midwest remind me of a story that I think I've shared with you before, but I'm going to do it again here. After holidays, with between my family and my in-laws. One year we were set to fly from Dallas to St. Louis on TWA. Yes, TWA still existed at the time. By the way, my sister was a TWA flight attendant, so there you go. She was in the air with TWA on 9/11, by the way, and headed to the DFW airport about 3 hours before our flight. As we were making the drive, a huge winter storm blew into the DFW area. What should have been a 30 or 40-minute drive turned into nearly 3 hours. We didn't have cell phones then, so we had no way to call anyone to let them know what was going on. We were sweating it out all the way, and we got to our gate right before they were closing the door to the plane. They had given our seats away, but they found room for us in first class of all places. We laughed all the way down the gangway until we got to our seats and passed out after the adrenaline spike wore off. We laugh about that trip all the time. Happy New Year to you, your family, and the BOGP crew. Oh my gosh. Being Mr. Early, you just made me sweat it out because I'm like the first one at the gate every time. I cannot be late. Whenever I see in movies, people like run into like, don't close the door. I can't imagine. Like if I ever had like weather and had to run to the gate, oh my gosh, it'd be my worst nightmare. But hey, you got to be in first class. Oh, but yes, holiday travel, because you just got to be there with friends and family. You got to make it. You got to be at the celebration. I mean, people that don't get to make it home for the holidays, that breaks my heart. Like I'm watching bowl games right now, right? And I know it's like it would be great to be with your boys. Like right now, Mizzou's down in Jacksonville playing in the Gator Bowl today, and they celebrated as a football team together Christmas a couple days ago, right? They got all these presents and they got gear, they got watches, they got stuff. You do that because you're not going to get to do this but a couple times in your life, maybe celebrate a bowl trip as a football team. Paige has done this with her basketball team. One year they went to the Bahamas as a basketball team for Christmas. Because they were in a holiday tournament. They did it at Thanksgiving. You do that. But I mean, part of me is like, you not want to be with your family. But I guess when you're 18 to 22, probably not. You're like, I'd rather be in the Bahamas or Jacksonville, Florida, or wherever at a bowl game with my boys and my girls. It's a different thing when you're younger, I guess. I'm older. I want to be with my family. Thanks, Dennis. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. All right. Let's see here. Michelle, speaking of Michelle down in South Florida, Merry Christmas, Mike. Enjoyed the show today, and it resonated with me in many ways. I'm currently ordering pub subs to pick up and have on hand because Sam flies home tonight. And that's the one thing she can't get in New York. So excited to have her home for 5 days, and like you, offered to pay for the flight, even though she can afford it. You'll do whatever you can to get the kids home. I'm telling you, that was me. I was like, what? I'll sell you the money. Just buy the plane ticket. That's how it worked. Yeah, Paige got too many Christmas gifts. I sent her the money to I said, get another suitcase out of the storage room, and I'll give you the $35. Just pay for the extra bag fee and take your stuff home. Cause she was like, I can't fit it all. And she was jamming it all in there. I'm like, just take another suitcase. so you don't ruin your gifts. I'll Zell you $35 so you don't ruin your gifts. Just take another suitcase and we'll get the suitcase some other time. We have plenty of suitcases in the storage. Like $35 will not make or break us. And I want you to enjoy your gifts. She was not going to pay that $35 to Southwest. She was bound and determined. Anyway, let's see. So excited. She says, I know there may be a Christmas in the future that she may not be able to come home, and I cannot imagine that. So going to enjoy every moment. We also always play a lot of aggravation, sorry, and trouble. By the way, one of Paige's gifts, she got her own aggravation game to take back to Chicago. We play that a lot. Yes. And we played a lot of Yahtzee too. And I actually won. Well, actually, we tied in Yahtzee 219 to 219, Paige and I, but we beat Pam. So that was kind of fun. I long for the days of going to my grandparents on Christmas Eve, and know Sam also has fond memories of going to her grandparents on Christmas Eve. I guess one day we'll be the grandparents that create hopefully to be the nostalgic memories for our family. I hope that too. Yeah. Soon. I mean, Paige is going to be 30 this year. By the way, I also enjoy airports and people watching. I'm headed to the airport early today to just sit and people watch as I wait for Sam's flight. I know you were just at Fort Lauderdale, but you would love our little airport up here, Palm Beach International. It's a smaller airport and very Florida inside. I'll have to check that one out. I did like Fort Lauderdale, though. It had like a little Margaritaville and an airplane up on top, and it was cute. It was super cute, except I had to wait forever for my Cuban sandwich on the way out. But other than that, I love the airport. It was a cute airport. Very cool. And finally, Carrie Good. Merry Christmas, Mike. You hit all the feels with this episode. Similar to you, we would go to my grandparents' house on Christmas Eve. However, we had to wait to open our gifts until after supper, which usually wasn't until after it got dark. I hear you. Talk about torture staring at all the gifts under the tree. My grandma decorated every inch of her house for Christmas, and they also had a ton of lights outside. So did my grandpa. See, I totally forgot to tell you this. My grandpa cut like out of plywood, like reindeer and like Rudolph in a sled with Santa, and he put like lights around it. Now it wasn't as cool stuff nowadays. Like everything's so fancy nowadays, but it was the coolest thing on the street for sure. It was like plywood. He spray painted like Rudolph and a sled and Santa. It was the coolest thing, definitely on the street, maybe in Florissant. He said, celebrated our last Christmas Eve there in 2011, and I look back and think, if I only would have known it would have been the last, would I have done things differently? Pam said those exact same things this year about, if I would have only known last year was going to be the last year at my parents' house, I wish I would have done something differently. Pam said that exact same thing. I love that you pointed out it's not the place, but the people you're with that matters. My mom and stepdad always hosted Christmas here in Illinois, and my 5 brothers and their families and me would get together most years. They've since moved to the villages, yes, like Ricky's parents, and started a new tradition hosting Christmas there. I've flown down on Christmas morning the last 3 years to make sure I can be with 3 of my brothers, their families, and mom and stepdad. I wouldn't miss this celebration with my family. Have a wonderful holiday, and thank you for all you do for our community. Well, thank you, Carrie. And I love that we have so many similar traditions, like, the grandparents that go above and beyond. And they did that for us. Like, think about that. Like grandma and grandpa, they put all the decorations inside the house. It's probably grandma, like with all the little trinkets and beautiful things in the house, and grandpa probably up on the roof and risking his life and limbs to put all the lights up, and my grandpa for sure. And like cutting out all the plywood and putting the lights on the plywood and all that. I mean, days he set those lights up, but I mean, it was partially for him, but mostly for us. And, like making us wait till after dark. We did the same thing with the dinner dragged out forever before we could open the presents too. And it was probably just because, think about it, because they were our age at this point. And the joy that we got torturing the kids, like that was, I look back like they were just messing with us. They were totally like, but it's the enjoyment because they would make us wait. The anticipation, because the more we anticipated the opening of the gifts, the greater the return on when we got to open them, man. It was so good. And because think about that. I opened those gifts probably in 1980, 1982, 83, and I'm talking about it in 2025 because the nostalgia hits so hard. It was so good. The memories are they're such core memories. I will have those the rest of my life. It wasn't a fleeting moment. It wasn't a passing thing. It was something I treasure. I'll always have in my heart. And it's because my grandparents, my parents, everybody in my family did it the right way. They made the right meals. They cared. They wrapped the presents the right way. They played the right music. They paced everything the right way on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And they did it year after year after year because they wanted the kids, myself, my sister, my cousins, they cared enough that we all had an environment that was filled with love, that was filled with traditions, that we looked forward to 365 days a year. Boom, we got it. So it was just pretty awesome. Sorry, I gotta hit this here that Pam's in spot 7 and we can pick up the dog food. The wonders of life here. 5499. Do you guys do this, pick up food for each other? Let's see here. Got to send her the thing. Sorry, I apologize for this, but this is how we Riley doesn't like the food that I got last time and she's being picky. So we got to do this because I got the small breed food, which doesn't have the big pieces. So hopefully this will take care of it. Okay, there. All right. So let's get to the final part of today's show, which is getting super long. It was something I was thinking about, and it says, enjoy every moment. They go quickly. And it was just kind of what Michelle said in her feedback. When we bought the plane ticket for Paige, I was like, gosh, she's going to be home for 5 days this time. Because sometimes for Christmas, she only gets to come home for like 3, depending on like what day of the week Christmas falls. And this time they had like a 5-day break from because they had a game last Saturday at noon. She flew out right after the game and they didn't have practice until yesterday at 6 o'clock. So she got to be home for 5 days. We're like, whoo, she gets to be home for 5 days. That's like a long stretch for Christmas. We're like, woohoo. So we're thinking, yes. I'll tell you what, it went so fast. But I did make an effort to enjoy every minute. And I did enjoy every minute, but man, did it go fast. But I loved it. And it's kind of like that with the whole thing, like with life in general, with the Christmas season this year. I can't believe Christmas is over. Like, you think about it and you're like, well, is it too early to listen to Christmas music? And Christmas is over. Like the Sirius XM channels that play Christmas music, they're not playing them anymore. It's already over. And like people are already talking about, are people taking down their Christmas trees? And people here in St. Louis, because right now it's super warm. It's like going to be 69 today. And I think tomorrow it's going to be 72. The high on Monday, though, here is going to be 28. So reality check. So people are talking about taking down their Christmas lights tomorrow before this like big storm comes through and it drops to 28 on Monday. Like, should we take down our Christmas lights? And is it over? Like it goes so quickly. Like it feels like the Christmas movies were just starting a few days ago and it goes so quickly. And I know they say like the older you get, the time, like the maybe, what do they say? The days are long, but the years are short or something like that. And I think it is true. It's also hit me too, because Mallory turns 18 on Wednesday. And I've said this on the podcast many times that when we started the podcast, Mallory was 2 months old. Mallory turns 18 on Wednesday. And we've been doing this podcast for quite a while. We're coming up on 3,000 episodes. And I've loved every time we've got to talk into this microphone and share stories and share all this stuff. This is my favorite thing. I love podcasting. I love this stuff. How lucky have we been? But when your youngest turns 18, you're just like, it takes your breath away. You're just like, whew. And she just knows how to get a dad. Like, she knows how to get me so hard. She kept saying, this is my last Christmas as a kid. I'm like, shut up, stop. She kept saying, I'll be an adult on Wednesday. I'm like, knock it off. Like, would you stop it? Like, she is such a little butt with that stuff. Like she just knows how to like punch her dad like right in the gut because she's my little girl. It's not bad enough my other girl's going to turn 30 this year. She's still my little girl too. I used to coach her in soccer when she was 5. It's a lot this year. Like between her graduating, turning 18, the other one's turning 30. It's a lot. And I don't know where you guys all come from. I know a lot of you are nostalgic like me. Some of you are not as much, but I love my life and I'm a super positive person. And I'm never sad. I'm never, I try not to be. I'm always a glass is half full kind of person. Does mile 22 suck of the marathon that I'm going to be hitting here in a couple weeks? It sucks. There are things in life that suck, and after Blizzard Beach, before you get to the boardwalk and the marathon, that sucks so bad. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat. Is that one thing I'm not looking forward to here soon? Absolutely. I hate that part of the marathon, but then it gets better. You just got to get through it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's great after that because that part of it sucking makes the studio. I hate that I'm saying that word. I apologize for saying that, but that makes when you get to the studios all the better. You're like, oh my God, I'm glad that's over. And then you get to the finish line. You're like, God, why did we do that? But it was awesome. Give me all the medals. So what I'm saying is though, is that I just wanted to come to you guys because again, we're family and this is Mike in the Midwest. I just like our little meetings every week. Like, because we're all different parts, but I'm at this part where I'm not struggling. I'm excited that Mallory's going to be 18, but life comes at you. I guess Ferris Bueller said it. Life comes at you quick. You got to slow down and enjoy it or else you'll miss it. And I'm sad a little bit because Christmas is gone. I hate the day after Christmas because I love Christmas. I love the Christmas season. But, you got New Year's Day coming up and you got all these great bowl games. You got Alabama, Indiana, and you got all the, that good stuff still coming up. You got marathon weekend coming up. I get to do that. I get to see a lot of friends down at Walt Disney World, going to French Quarter, haven't stayed there in ages. Get to go to Disneyland after that. A few weeks after that. So there's always something to look forward to. Lots. Mallory's got one more big competition down in Springfield, Missouri. Got that coming up. So there's always something exciting to look forward to. But wow, she's turning 18 and it goes quickly. So I am going to try to enjoy every moment because we're having her big birthday party on New Year's Day. And that one's going to kind of take my breath away. It was different when we were having like a frozen birthday party for her when she was 7 or 6, or even when she turned 16 and we got her a car, we got her the used car when she was 16. That was hard. When you give your kid a car, that was hard. But 18, oof, that's a big one because she's going to be going away to school after this year. Even though she's going to Mizzou, it's like she's living. It's exactly what I want to give my kid. She wanted to go to Mizzou. I couldn't afford to go to Mizzou when I was a kid. I'm so excited that we can send her to Mizzou. And it's exactly it's a blessing. It's exactly what I want. But is it easy to send your kid away and to know that she's not going to be waking up in that bedroom come the fall? Ooh, it's hard. I love that kid with all my heart, but it's how life needs to be. So I guess what the title of the show is, enjoy every moment because they go quickly. And like I'm watching bowl games. I'm a big football fan, right? And I watch these bowl games and I love watching bowl games, but you got to remember for about 90% of those football players, it's the last time they'll play football. And it's so sad. It's the last time you'll play with your brothers. Last time you'll put on those shoulder pads and that helmet. It's the finality of it. I don't know. But I mean, you got to celebrate it. I mean, you got to play college football. You got to do that too. And this is kind of, again, the same thing with Mallory. She's not cheering in college. Like this is her final stretch of cheer. How many times have we gone to comps with her to Summit all those years down at Walt Disney World, to all these comps around the Midwest, to the Dells, to Indianapolis, Schaumburg, Illinois, Naperville, Illinois, Kansas City. We've been to Arkansas. We've been to Iowa. We've been everywhere cheering. But this is it. This is it. I mean, we got a few more basketball games and competition down in Springfield, Illinois, and that's a career. It's there's a finality to things. That's the way life goes. So you know what? I am savoring every moment of it. And I think that's how you got to look at life. It's been a run and I'm just going to take it all in. And that's with my running. I know I'm ending my career here with running here soon. I'm going to enjoy every minute of marathon weekend and take it all in because who knows? Got to take it all in. So, just a little advice: enjoy every moment because you never know. Just that goes quickly. I feel like I was 30 just a couple days ago. I'm only 32 now. Hope you guys have a great week. We'll get back together again next week. And if I don't talk to you before then, I hope you have a wonderful wrap to 2025. And remember, lift up your left leg at right at midnight on New Year's Eve. That way you start off 2026 on the right foot. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you real soon.